Hello, Holistic Heroes. Thank you so much for joining us for another episode. We are going to be talking today with Karen Harris about astrology and the fabulousness that she brings and the depth of wisdom that she's going to be bringing to each of the individual signs as we talk about them. And it's going to be fabulous. I cannot wait to hear the different unique characteristics that each one of these signs holds and if they resonate with you. So, Karen, hi, thank you so much for joining us.
Hi, Lily. Thank you for having me.
Can you tell the listeners a little bit about yourself? Any fancy tidbits you want to share?
Yeah, sure. Let's see. I've been studying astrology for 27 years, and I'm a mental health therapist, so I kind of bring that lens to astrology. I bring astrology to my mental health practice and my therapeutic stuff to my astrology practice. So, um, let's see. I am a Virgo. I'm an earth sign. I have Aquarius moon, if anyone knows what those things mean. Um, yeah. What else is there to say?
I love it. I love when people incorporate into different modalities like mental health and astrology. Yes, they do go hand in hand. You don't have to keep them compartmentalized to be able to use them in the way that best serves you.
Right? Oh no, gosh. I can't even imagine having either one of those two practices separate from each other. Astrology is very much like a language for me. So it's just I've studied it for so long. It's how I see everything. I just see the energies of it. So
Yeah, and it does touch everything. Like my friend rescues dogs, rescues boxers, and it's their birth date, but also their gotcha date, their adoption date, as far as their astrology goes. And like she does it for her dogs. She's very serious about it. And she's like, yep, and this is how we will help them to heal from wherever they came from before they were rescued. And so yeah, it's not just people, like it's
right.
everything it touches, which is just fabulous to me. So we're going to be going through all the different signs today, and we'll do them in order. I like doing them in order, and it's just because I always know what's coming next. I don't know about you, but whenever I see people post and they're just like random, I'm like, what? What was the organization with that? What was I honor your thought pattern, but what? So let's start with Aries. Aries, a fire sign. What do you have to say about Aries?
Yeah, Aries is ruled by Mars, and the ruling planet, I think, tells a lot about what the energy is. So, Aries is impulsive. It's the beginning. It's the start of something. It's our body. It's our awareness of our body. It's very physical, very fast.
I feel like for me, Aries is always a very inspiring sign
Yes.
to have. And it's like you said, it's like beginnings. It's almost like the idea stage. It's like, oh, these are the infinite possible. Okay, let's get excited. I feel like it's a very not excitable like sign, like they get over the top, but it's just like, yay. And then you want to do more. It's almost motivational.
Definitely. And it's self. It's, the opposite sign is others and relationships, and Aries is self. It's the one at the beginning, right? And so, yeah, gosh, I was going to say something else and then it just left my head. So,
Well, if it comes back later, we are big on tangents here. So let's move on. We're just talking a little bit about each sign. Taurus. So Taurus is the second sign, and for me, it's always whenever I think of Taurus, I go to the cliche. I know it's so basic, stubbornness. I have never met a Taurus who wasn't stubborn, and they can be super chill, but they're stubborn. Like those two things can go hand in hand.
definitely. And, I'm going to just circle back for a second because I remembered what I was going to say. Gosh, okay, nope. I'm going forward. Okay, so yeah, Taurus, it's an earth sign and it is a fixed sign. And that's the stubbornness. All the fixed signs they're very stubborn. So, and I'm going to say that with the energies of the signs, there's always a positive way that it's manifested or a negative way that it's manifested. So that's just it's important to know.
Yes.
Taurus is like on the negative, it could be like lazy and indulgent and deserving and you know, but on the positive side, they're very hardworking and very you said stubborn, they're like
Determined.
determined, yes. And I think of fixed signs as like a mountain, like there's stability there. And so like they could be seen as something to count on. It
Yes.
doesn't change very fast. You just look, there's the mountain.
See, and as you're saying that, I'm thinking of some of my favorite Taurus people in my life. And I'm like, that's what they are. They are so dependable. Like they're not in my life every day, but I know when I like, it's almost like you could reach out and touch them. It's like you'll know they'll be there. They're not,
Right.
they're not ghosting, because there are signs that the more negative interpretation is that they are flighty and flaky. And I just feel that's not, see, as you're saying it, I'm like, yeah, that, and I think that's one of the my favorite things about Taurus is that you can just reach out and touch, like they're right there and they'll always be right there as long as they're in your life.
Right. Yep. Some important things to say about Taurus is like it's a very sensual sign. It rules our senses.
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, people with strong Taurus energy they are very particular about how the environment is and noticing any little thing that changes. And they're very comfort oriented. It also rules values and money.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I think that that's all really prevalent in like it's not like excessive, it's not gluttony, but I had a friend who was a Taurus, and when he had to find a new bedspread, it took him 2 years. Like it had to be the way he wanted it. And to give you all an idea, it was 2 years of him looking, me looking, and his mom looking, like to find something that he was okay with. And when he bought what he bought, it was not what I expected at all. It was very lush. It was very, and he said, it's regal, it's royal. And I'm like, okay. I was expecting like plaid, like very earthy, cabin-esque. And he's like, no, I want it to look indulgent. And I was like, all right. So yeah, they are very environment focused, which as a Cancer, I can respect that.
Right. Yeah. And Taurus energy is good with plants because it rules plants. Herbal medicine kind of thing.
I love that. I do not have a green thumb. I thoroughly respect people who can do things that I can't, because I'm like, if I can do it, anyone can do it. And so like gardening and planting, I'm like, oh my gosh, that's so cool. Thank you. I love that. I love that. So moving on to Gemini, and I feel like if we're being honest, in the mainstream media, some of the signs are given a bad rap. Like,
oh, yeah.
All the signs are equal. All of them have positives and negatives. All of them, it's how you use them. Absolutely. And the way that media has bastardized astrology is truly shameful. And Gemini has gotten the short end of the stick and beaten with it repeatedly. I cannot tell you how many times I have heard all Geminis cheat.
Yeah.
Because they have that duality, so they can never be happy with one person. And this has been people like chastising them, like, I would never date a Gemini because I don't want to be cheated on. But then also I've had Gemini say, well, I'm a cheater. And they never, and I'm just like, wow, that is, everyone like took it and ran with it. So Gemini, duality, the twins, what's up?
Yeah. So, I mean, it's an air sign and it's ruled by Mercury, one of the signs ruled by Mercury. And any air sign is going to be very, like flighty, because it's the air. It moves very quickly, thinking very quickly, very smart. Gemini does really well with any sort of data and learning, and just consumes information, just to know. They just want to know, just to know.
They remind me, in a weird way, they remind me of computers, where they just store data in files in their brain. And then the second someone says something, there's that little spinny circle for like a few seconds as they're going in, and they're like, open this drawer, open this file, open this. And then it's just all the information about what they had stored throughout their life about like carburetors. And it's like, how? What? Really? But it is. And so I love air signs because I love the intelligence behind them, and they're all so thoughtful. But the other thing, I air signs can be super critical, and I feel like it depends upon the air sign. They're either critical of others or super critical of themselves. Which one do you feel Gemini is? Are they more of a, I'm going to be judgy to others, or are they a judgy to themselves?
I mean, I don't see those as judgy, the Geminis. I mean, I guess they can be, they're ruled by Mercury, but I think, yeah, it's like they're judging not based on like what Virgo judges on.
Yeah.
It's judging on the quality of the information, maybe the quality and the speed of information, or the way people communicate.
Yeah. I don't know if you know this, you're in the mental health field. DBT, there's this theory about judgment. Like, judging is not, a healthy thing to do, except when it involves danger or anything like that. And the example is, this fish smells bad, I'm not going to eat it. And that's a judgment. I feel like that's more Gemini, where it's like, this fish smells bad. That's data, and I'm going to use this data to make my decision. So like, they judge data. They don't, it's not so much people. It's like, you're right. The information that's being put in is like, is this worthwhile? Is this is this useful?
Right. And how people spell things and how people say things, the word usage, because that's just more like data, and they're communicators. They also are very resourceful. Like, Gemini is with the third house, and so that's like the community. So they very much have their hands on knowing things in the community, and just, yeah, being resourceful.
And like, this is why I love talking to people about astrology, because like, when someone says something, it reminds me of like the signs in my life. And I can't think of one Gemini, not one in my life, that's not a member of their community. Whatever that community is, they are a member. They're not like, oh, I'm casual. They are in it, and it's important to them in whatever way that manifests for them. It is a priority, even, that it's like, yep, my community is something that I focus on and want to be an active member of. I think that's wow.
Yeah, they're very busy also. They can pack more in a day than, it's like, I don't get it, but like, man, they just go, go, go. And that reminded me of, I have known some strong Gemini energies, that they do get critical if they're not doing well in school. Like, if they don't know things, or, if they're really they like grades. They like high grades. So
it's the reports, the assessments. It's like, this is the outside, like, I can actually, it's almost like measuring. It's like, I can measure my progress because I'm seeing it outside of me. And yes, I fully agree. So now we're coming on my sign, Cancer.
yes.
I have so many opinions, but I'm gonna let you go first.
Oh yeah, Cancer. It is, I mean, here we're at our first water sign, and it's ruled by the moon, and it's the fourth house. So we're talking about cyclical energy that is, I mean, it's very emotional, very feeling, very connected. And it goes in cycles. So it's like, it's very moody, and yeah, it feels everything that's not seen. So
It's very intuitive. Like, it's certainly not the most intuitive sign. And that's all relative. Uh Emotional, absolutely. Like, emotion driven, I would even say that it's like that is our motivating factor. Because people will say, well, what they'll say, like, describe yourself, and I'll be like, it depends upon my mood. I can be the most outgoing, the most productive, more done in a day than anyone else, or I could not leave the couch for 12 hours and have the same feeling of fulfillment. Like, it is all based on what I am, like, what are my emotions telling me? My emotions are telling me that I am a potato. I'm going to be on the couch for the day. So I feel like that's really a thing. And for me, and I know like other cancers feel this too, someone had once described, like, they're the domestic goddess. And I'm like, oh, it's a house thing. When I explain to people, my house is part of me. That is such, and like, the symbol is a crab. And I'm like, no, really, like, if I invite you into my house, I'm inviting you into myself. And that is not something I do readily. So when I actually like bought my first house, that people didn't understand. They're like, why can't I come over? And I'm like, the audacity, pushing a little too far there, getting a little intimate. And
Right.
I'm like, oh, it's my house. It's part of me. And yeah, so that's how I feel about cancer. It's really a home thing. That is a huge part of it. Because if my home is in disarray, I will not meetings. I won't blow off like a scheduled meeting, but
Mhm.
anything else, as long as it's not like a set scheduled thing, I will blow it off if my house is messy, to make my home the way I need it to be, to feel safe and calm.
Right.
It's like, oh, you should be answering emails after I vacuum. Just give me 15. I just want to get this one room done. It
Mm.
it's a thing. So I think cancers are great because we're emotional. I think we are high maintenance because we're so emotional.
Right. Yes. Yes.
Absolutely.
When you were speaking of like the nurturing part, so the moon is the mother, and so they're very nurturing. They're very nesting. They definitely have like, yeah, taking care. And safety and security is a really big deal, just because that's what the moon is all about, is like how safe and secure are their friends. Like if you're friends with a cancer, they care about you and like how you're doing, and everything they do is going to be about making sure you're being cared for, you feel cared for.
Yes. Yes. I had a friend years ago in my 20s who we were friends, and then we grew apart because life happened. And then like a few years later we met for lunch, and he had said, I thought I was special. I thought you were treating me
Mm.
special because I'm so amazing. He's like, no, he's like, I realize that's how you treat everyone. Like, when you're with them, you are giving them your attention. You are making sure that they're okay. You are putting effort into other people. And I was like, yeah, that wasn't obvious. And he was like, no, I thought I was special. And I'm like, oh, I'm sure you are. Not because of this though. But it is like, we are incredibly nurturing people. And I
Right.
I know that we get taken advantage because of that, but
Mhm.
that's why we have a hard shell. So it's okay.
Right, right. And there is some tendency to codependency is a real Cancer Capricorn issue. Another thing that I think is really common is a lot of people, when they know men who are Cancerian, they will say about those men that those are the most unfeeling men they've ever met. And there, I think you really get that the crab shell and the buried in the sand. So you can definitely have those Cancer energy people where they're so inside, and they almost can like be not in their emotional self and have to find that.
Yeah. It's we have, because I've been told I'm unfeeling. And I'm like, are you kidding me? I like cry on my floor. And I'm not even on a bed or a chair. I will curl up on the floor and cry. And it's because it's like, once we get into our shell, it's like, I'm just going to push this back into a closet back here, shove it back there. And then you have to get through all that to get back to the emotion. Because, yeah, it's safety and security. If we feel hurt, we're certainly not going to be emotional, or if we don't feel safe. And I think that's very true with men cancers, because men aren't allowed to be vulnerable or emotional in this society. And so a cancer who is emotional, that's got to be just difficult, you know? So that's cancer. Let's go on, because I could talk about cancer forever. Let's talk about Leo, the lovely Leos out there. And I am partial. I am Leo rising. Definitely, people usually tell me that, like, oh, you're a Leo. And I'm like, I'm a Leo rising, because they can't see anything except the Leo. Because I gotta,
Right.
for any Leo, when the Leo's out, the Leo's out. Like,
Yes.
it is the center of attention. It is the spotlight is on, and you feel the heat, and you're like, yes, yes. Like, I walked into rooms and people are like, do you just like enter always like that? And I'm like, when the Leo's running the show, yes.
Yes. Oh yeah, Leo is ruled by the sun. So I mean the sun, right? Everything else revolves around the sun.
Mm-hmm.
The sun is hot and it's shining light and heat and warmth and life onto everything. And that is Leo. They are, yeah, center of attention. They are on stage. They are dramatic, drama.
Yes, positive and negative. Like,
Yes.
drama in the negative too. They can just eat it up, and it's almost like you can a Leo can like feed off the energy of a room, like suck it up through a crazy straw, but they also burn through energy so quickly because they're so
Definitely.
exuberant.
Yes, yes. And you know, like some negative side of Leo is like they're very, very sensitive to any sort of criticism and
Yes.
embarrassment, and like humiliation is the worst thing on earth.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and they can tend to like take everything really personally. You know, Leo energy is just like, if there's something said, it's all about them. Like, and they can get their feelings hurt really easily.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So turning that energy out and making it positive, you know, it's about lifting other people up and loving people.
Yeah, and I feel to talk about the negative characteristics, because there are in every sign. The when Leos go into like an egotistical energy, their martyrdom is, to me, what I've observed, beyond rational. Like, they will give anything and everything to self-destruction, because it means the spotlight is always on them, positive, negative, even if they're giving up a bunch. Like, their inner martyr is just a thing if they tip into that part of their ego.
Right. Definitely. Definitely. Yep. And they can be arrogant. There's some arrogance there. There's some, you know, I am higher, I am above, and you know, and that can be positive or negative. I personally, you know, it's confidence, it's bravery, it's royalty. And if they've earned stuff, then they have super confidence about it. And that can be
Yeah.
great.
And they don't hide it. You know, some people are like humble, like,
Yeah.
oh, it was nothing. They're like, no, it was hard work and I earned it and it's fabulous. Look at the crown. Look at the crown. Earned the crown. And I say that knowing that I have done that, like, specifically with my success in business. Oh,
Mhm.
I am the biggest cheerleader of myself. I'm the biggest hype man, because I'm like, I worked really hard. I'm gonna brag about it every chance I get. But in like other aspects of my life, I'm very humble, like physical health or personal life or love life or anything like that. They're also incredibly ambitious, and I don't mean that in like a business sense. I mean, whatever it is that they put as the pedestal,
Mhm.
is they're gonna achieve it. I know sports, a Leo who it is, they do not care what they do with their life as long as their hobby, they are the best on the field at all times, and they strive for that at all times. And it's like, oh, you are ambitious beyond, like, because that's their thing. I have another one who it's being like a good parent, but to the point of martyrdom. But that's their pedestal, is that. So it doesn't
Right.
have to be like business or career, but they are ambitious people. That thing, whatever that thing is up there, they want it.
right? Because everything looks at it. It's on show, it is on display, it's on stage. And so, and if humiliation and embarrassment's the worst thing, then they have to be the best at whatever's showing, you
Yep.
know?
Do you, and this is more of an opinion than anything else, fear of failure, like not
Mhm.
even embarrassment, and being publicly criticized, God forbid, but
Mhm.
like a genuine fear or aversion to failure. Do you feel like that's a Leo thing too?
Yes, I think, yes, I've had some strong Leo energy people that I think, but to me, it also kind of just circles back to like when if they fail, their failure is going to be seen, you know, because it's the sun.
Mhm.
So it's like everybody's watching if I fail.
Yes.
So yeah, it all just kind of, to me, it all circles back to that everybody's watching.
Yeah, I feel that. So let's get to you and your sign of Virgo.
Oh
What
yeah.
what are your feelings about Virgo? And to give everyone a little spoiler, Karen and I had met and done a vibe check and stuff, and I told her how I feel about Virgos, and I am very passionate about my opinions about this. So what are your feelings about your sign?
Honestly, I think it's a hard sign. I mean, it's just interesting. It's an earth sign. It's very it's ruled by Mercury. So, but it's also like it's criticism, it's critical. It sees all the details and feels all the details in their body. It rules the nervous system. And so there's a different, like Taurus was sensitive through their senses and about their environment. Virgo has this other kind of sensitivity that I liken it to cancers. I don't understand how those two feel similar to me, but cancers are very sensitive emotionally, and Virgo is very sensitive physically. Like they can feel if there's bad energy around, they can
Yeah.
feel if there's bad energy in an item, you know? So very
Yeah.
feeling.
Yeah, and it's I as you know, I love Virgo. They are, not that you should ever play favorites. They are my favorite sign. For me myself personally, I have only met two Virgos in my life that I could not stand. And both of them I could not stand like a lot, but all the other dozens and dozens I adore. They are to me the most calming sign. And it's almost like they're so particular that
Mhm.
it makes me relax, because it's like everything has to be just so
Oh
in
yeah.
whatever aspect that it has to be. I knew someone who his parents told me, um we were adults when we met, but they told me, yeah, growing up he had to have 20 different stuffed animals on his bed in a very specific way or else he wouldn't sleep. If one was even remotely out of place, he would not sleep and he would pitch a fit. And I was like, oh, that is so Virgo, that even as a baby and a child, it's like, as long as it's this way, it's fine. Like I could not imagine like moving the milk in the fridge on a Virgo. I feel like that would just be like a personal attack. And then we'd have to have like a conversation. Like, I don't understand why you don't love me. I don't
Right.
I feel like that would be the conversation. It'd be like, sorry, I'll put it on the bottom shelf. So I think they're
Right.
very grounding, very particular.
Yeah. And of course, how they handle the Virgo, you know, I mean, yeah, I can tell anything anyone has touched. I can tell what people have done because of what has moved. Um, and yeah, but then it's like, you know, then how do you behave about it? And yes, Virgo can be very nitpicky, very critical, very curmudgeon-y.
Mhm.
Um, but they're way more critical of themselves always.
Yep.
And yeah, it's kind of like it's the struggle to not be so critical, just like let people be, you know?
Mhm. They're very detail oriented. Like, it's not this, it's a bunch of different steps to get to this. Like, even I would say like brushing your teeth, it's like, okay, nope, they see every individual step. It's like, yep, you go into the bathroom, you put the toothpaste, you put it in, and then it's,
Mhm.
and I love that because I think that's so, that's so helpful in so many aspects of life. Go with the flow, emotional, absolutely gets me very far. It don't do my taxes. Like
Right.
it,
Yep.
every single, and every single step is just as important as every other
Right.
step. There is no step that is more, it's like, no, you need all of them. You need all steps to get to whatever goal it is. And I think that that's, I like that. I admire that in Virgo, because so many people are like, no, the end is what matters, or there are 5 steps, but this one's the most important. It's like, no, you need, it's
Right.
almost like they
Right.
see equality in stuff
Right.
as critical as they can be. It's an even playing field though. It's not like, well, I'm never going to judge this person. It's like, no, you have a heartbeat. I will judge, and that's fine.
Right. Yeah. No, you mentioned a couple really important things. They are very process oriented. So whatever planet you have in Virgo, there's going to be a process involved with that. And helpfulness is the number one thing. Like, um, Geminis like to know, Gemini and Virgo are both ruled by Mercury, and Gemini wants to know all the things just to know all the things. And Virgo wants to know all the things that would be helpful. So we don't need to know the things that aren't going to be helpful,
Mm-hmm.
but we want to know the helpful things.
Yep.
And the other thing is, Virgo rules the 6th house, and the 6th house is our health house. So especially things around health, processes of health, those day-to-day habits that you do to maintain healthy, health, wellness.
Yeah, because now that I think about it, it's the Virgos that I know, they're not obsessed with health. They're not like the health nuts, but they are healthy. Like they certainly drink their water. They certainly go, they're doing, and it's such, like now they mentioned, I'm like, but it's such a normal part of their life. They make not,
Mm-hmm.
it's not a big deal. It's not like I need to be aware of my vitamins. They're just like, they take them every morning. It's so ingrained in them that it's not even a big deal, but it is a focal point that their health is maintained.
Yes. Yep. We do all the little things every day. Lots of little processes. We're very
Every step
habitual.
counts.
Yes. Yep.
I love it. All right, so Libra. So I have to say that I had no positive or negative against Libra until a few years ago. 2 years ago, I was, or year and a half ago, I was on a show called The Blocks, and the head of production was a Libra, and then his second in command was a Libra. And I've never seen people work so hard. And I like, and then that's something that I realized that a lot of Libras have, is that it's not like a work ethic like a Taurus or a Capricorn. It's strange. It's gloomier. I don't know how else to say it. It's not showy, but it's just,
Mm-hmm.
it's almost like magic. They're like, I'm going to work for 5 hours and give you a unicorn when I'm done. And it's like, yes, please, but how?
Right, right. I think so. What I hear when I hear you say that, what this is a little more advanced than any beginner stuff, but I will bring to everybody's attention that like every all the signs really have part of their polarity, part of the opposite in it.
Yes.
So like and now we're at the 7th sign. So now that would be the opposite of Aries. And so just like with Aries, you're going to see some Aries people caring so much about the other people and about how other people see them, and how if other people, if they're getting along with people. Libra is going to show some Aries qualities about being just really determined and really hardworking to get something done.
Mm-hmm.
But again, for the Libra goal of, they want it to look nice, they want it to be beautiful.
Oh, yes. And it needs, like, the packaging is as important as the inside. Like,
oh yeah,
wrapping on the outside. And it's like, I feel like there's no half-assing it because of that, because it needs to look a certain way. And I don't want to say shallow, that's the wrong word, but you're right. It's like the appearance of things has to be on point, and not in a fake way. Like, if you can rub off the gold with a Libra, they're like, then it wasn't done right. Like, It needs to be
Right.
done
Yes.
right with making it look good. They're the example that I'm thinking of is really weird. They are not the plastic surgery, like I'm going to go in and get lip filler. They're like, no, I'm going to go to the gym 5 times a week and I'm going to get the shoulders that I always wanted. And then I'm going to wear a tank top every day of summer, even when it rains, and go, look at this work. Yes.
Right.
I feel like that's very, very Libra, that it's like, yep, you're right. It has to look nice. It has to be quality.
Yes. Yes. And I mean, I guess it's kind of like also like, okay, so it also is like balanced. And so they like, there's part of what you're saying is kind of this like for balance, you know, I don't know if that makes any sense, because I feel like I can see it, but I can't quite put the words out. But fair, balanced, equal, even with their beauty, it's like it has to be balanced. I don't
Yes.
know.
Yes, I get it though. And it's because it's not superficial. It's not skin deep. Where Leo is very showy.
Right.
Give me a microphone, give me a spotlight, 2, 3, 4. I want everyone to love me. Libra is like, you don't have to love me, but I want you to see that I did something well. But also, they help others, but I feel like they never want to do someone else's work. That,
Yeah.
like, I will help you, of course, but if you dump your job on me, I'm gonna boil. You know, that's not something that they handle well. Which, let's be honest, none of us handle that well. If someone dumped their job on me, I'd be like, get up, lazy. Nuh-uh.
Right, right. Yeah. Yeah. No, and they do like to be, they like to be helpful in that sense of like partnership, you know, because they rule relationships. And so they are like very relationship focused. So
Yes.
there's always a we involved when you have a Libra, you know, Libra energy. There's always we. It's not me, it's we, it's us.
It's team, because the Libras that I have met, oh my gosh, none of them own their own business. They all have now that I'm like, they all have a partner. All of them are two. All of them are, I'm slightly pissed to say this, obscenely good romantic partners. Like, I get that there are exceptions. I'm sure there are assholes out there, but like the Libras that I know, and specifically the male Libras that I know, their partner is a pedestal. And it's not that they're superficial. It's like, oh, it has to be a model or something. It's like they are there for their partner. They are there for, like, they are a,
Oh yeah, that's their motivator. I mean, it's like if you have a Libra moon or a Libra Mars, you care about how your partner feels. You do everything you do is for them. If you have a Libra rising, you're like you care about everyone else. It's always like power. What is that word? It's like putting other people first. It's like thinking about them, always thinking about other people. um Libra sun signs and Libra Venuses, I mean, they're like they don't even use the word I when you're talking to them. It's like, how are you doing? We're doing good. So if
yes.
we're good, I'm good,
Yep.
you know, like that's how it works.
Do you feel with the we of it all that they are more prone to like burnout or overextending themselves? Or do you feel like they because it's such a collective, like the oneness, we all feed off each other's energy, which or is it that thing where it's like it could be either, depending upon if they're going towards the positive or negative?
I think that again, we bring in that polarity, and I think we need balance, which is what Libra is. So it's like, okay, then how you balance Libra is you also have to have a good sense of self. Everything isn't, you know, that's how you make a better we, is you be worthy of the we. And that can be really difficult, but it's important.
I love it. I love it. All right. So moving on to the mysterious Scorpio.
Oh
And
yes.
again, like Gemini, I feel like they've been given a bad rap in the mainstream, that they absolutely are dark and mysterious, but a lot of people have gone to the extreme of like, oh, they're incredibly sexual. Well, yes, but not like to the point of perversion.
Right.
Again, it's like all Geminis are cheaters, all Scorpios are, sex fiends. It's like, not
Yeah.
really.
Yeah, no. Yeah,
So
no, it's just a lens, you know. Yeah, it's ruled by Pluto, um, and traditional ruler is Mars. There, that is really in there, and it is about transformation. It is about death and rebirth. It is about getting to the real and the truth of it, and like no bullshit.
yeah,
They can see, they have a knowing of the things that are hidden, and they're
yes,
very private.
yes, great intuition. Um, Amazing sign for that. It's also, I feel like it has a lot of depth. It's a sign that like it doesn't have a lot of width.
Right.
Like Leo. Leo's got takes up a
Mm-hmm.
lot of space, where it's almost like Scorpio could be this big, but it'll tunnel to the center of the earth. Like
Yep.
it has so much depth. And I think that's just lovely. And I agree, completely secretive and not in a toxic way. Like I always tell people my business, my public self is all out in the open all the time. I don't think
Mm-hmm.
you know this, but most of my life is on TV, on radio, on social media. I'm very out there. But then people go like, "Well, what?" And I'm like, "No, because my moon is Scorpio." And I'm like, "My private life is private. My personal life is private." To the point where people are like, "Oh, really?" And I'm like, "No, on my social media, no one who's actually close to me follows me on social media. We are not friends on Facebook." And they're like, "How do you stay connected?" I'm like, they have my phone number, which I don't get. Like my personal phone number, it's doctors and the bank have it, and like my
Right.
parents. I do not give out my personal information because so much of my life is lived in the public eye. And I was talking to someone recently and I didn't realize how much of my like Scorpio was being kind of shunted off to the side over the
Mm-hmm.
past year. But after being on a reality show where they film everything, I
Yeah.
I completely severed my personal life. And I was like, this is now private. This is now completely kept off the radar. And it's not that I have anything to hide. It's not that I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't have like a freezer full of people or, a deep dark secret. It's just privacy. So I feel like Scorpio, they're private, but then if they realize that that's getting almost like bumped up against, they become even more private.
Yes. Oh yeah. Yes. And like, and yeah, like you said, like tunneling in and the depth, and intensity. It's like there's no taboo. There's no, they can talk about anything. They can, yeah, feel about anything. Um, and yeah, the privacy is not secrecy. It's private. It's just there's just a feeling of like this is something I hold in the dark, and that is just for me. And that's
Yes.
just okay. Like they
Yep.
need to have a just for me thing, you know?
And it's like boundaries, but it's not boundaries in everything. I feel like it's giant boxes. It's like, here's the personal life, here's the professional life, here's the public life. And it's like, but that box is like steel and has like 17 locks on it, where the other
Yes.
two are open. So it's not like, oh, well, every little thing needs to have a boundary. They're like, nope, this big chunk has a giant boundary. The rest is totally, because nothing's taboo. Because nothing's
Right.
taboo. So they're like, yeah, let's talk about it. I love being able to do that. The Scorpios that I've met, sun, rising, and moon, like anywhere in the chart. Excuse me, the seasons are changing here. Oh, the first snow, no moisture in the air. Um,
Oh,
is within meeting, you talk about weird shit. Like one that popping into my head is within one day of meeting a business person and doing the chart and seeing that they had a Scorpio rising, they started talking about the complications and values, ethics, morals of adultery in a business setting. And I was like, I was unaware this topic was on the table. And they were like, why wouldn't it be on the table? And I'm like, touche. Unpack.
Right.
Let's now have a real discussion about adultery as business colleagues. And it wasn't like propositioning someone. It wasn't, we're all cheaters. It wasn't anything like that. It was like, it was just a topic that was set on the table. And it's like, we're going to talk about it now.
Yeah, why not?
Oh, and
There's
I
nothing
love
off the table.
I love that. And at the same time, I'm like, ooh, there is a place, some things.
Yes.
So yeah, I feel like as much as they are secretive, they could step on people's toes and make them feel uncomfortable because nothing's taboo. So that's, and not something that they should be sensitive about. That's just them, but just to be aware of that, you know, at a christening, maybe not talk about circumcision or something like that, you know?
Yeah. Or, you know, just be you. Like, I'm okay with that. You know, another important thing to say about Scorpio energy is because it's, I mean, Pluto is power and Mars is force. And those are the rulers. So it's like there's an incredible power and magnetism with any sort of Scorpio energy, whether that's like an obsessive, you know, obsessive can be very scorpionic. Yeah, like they don't take things lightly. If they want a connection, or if they, you know, if they deem you worthy of having a connection, then it's like you're theirs, and they're yours. Like that's it now. Blood brothers.
Yeah,
you know.
It's a womb to tomb type of thing. And with that, it's they can sometimes like fixate on, like you said, be obsessive about a hobby, be obsessive about a person, be obsessive about something with themselves. And not, I feel like, so Leo and a little bit of Libra, very showy signs. Leo, very big. I feel like Scorpio is big, but not showy. It's just intense. Like, it's almost like magnetic, where it's like, it's a black hole sitting in the room and it's not depressing or anything, but things can just gravitate towards it. It's not a giant, it's the opposite of a spotlight. It's like, it's a spotlight for Leo. And then Scorpio's like, and let's just be. And it's almost, if done right, if really embracing the energy, it's almost intoxicating to be around. That they remind me of the romance novels where it's like that dark stranger swept in wearing a cloak and everyone stared, knowing he would save the kingdom, not knowing who he was. That's a Scorpio.
Right. Yes. Dark and mysterious. And I love that. The black hole in the middle of the room, because you can't, it's going to suck everything to it.
Yep.
So definitely.
Positively or negatively, because if they're in a mood, they will suck the happiness out of a room and just be like, no. And everyone's like, all right, no happiness today. Got it. Totally fine. So next is Sagittarius. And one of the, I don't know, Sagittarius is a sign that I actually know the least about, if we're being honest. And one of the very few things that I know and I respect, but I don't understand, because I'm disabled. I have chronic illnesses. So this is so outside of what I am used to as just a human being in my body, is their energy level and activity level. It's not like hyperactive, but they'll go for a hike. And I'm like, I climbed my stairs and felt personally attacked by my house. I was like, you don't love me anymore. I didn't want to do this.
Right. Yeah. So its polarity point is Gemini. Again, the really, really busy. And Sag has that same kind of quality. Really, they're the explorer. It's Jupiter. They are the people who hike. They hunt, they, their philosophy and exploring, whether they explore with their mind or explore with their body, um, that's what they're about. And Jupiter's the ruler, and they're a fire sign, Sagittarius, and whatever Jupiter touches makes it bigger. So there's also Sagittarian energy is about like a bigness. When a Sag rising is going to they're going to walk into the room and make things like more jolly, more uplifted, more, it rules optimism.
Yeah, it's life
Yeah.
of the party, class clown. Like they add so much. Like whatever they're adding so much of it. And I think that's great. One of the things I realized with dealing with Sagittarius is recently is that they're honest but brag. So it's like it's not so much over exaggerating and like lying, like I'm an Air Force pilot when really they live in the basement and eat Cheetos. But it's they add, and it's not like vibrato. What is that word? That
bravado. Yeah.
Bravado. Yes. It's not, I don't know how to explain it. It's just more like,
yeah, it's passionate. It's with, all the fire signs have also their own just sense of like feeling, but they feel through passion and inspiration and that kind of like impulsiveness. And so, yeah, whatever they feel, Sag energy, like they all out. It's everything, it's consuming.
Are they an all or nothing type of person?
Well, okay, so because I am talking about the energy and not a person, because people are more complex. We are all the signs, we have all the stuff. But as an energy, it is an all-consuming energy. It is, yeah, to the positive or to the negative.
Yeah. Yep. And it doesn't Scorpio is obsessive. Sagittarius isn't obsessive. It's just an all-in commitment to whatever. It's like, it's almost like if I'm happy, I'm going to be happy. If I'm pouting, I'm going to pout. If I'm abundant, I'm going to like explode it all over the room. So it almost feels like that. It's like, it's not, it's not deep like Scorpio. It's just so like, it makes me smile. It makes me go, oh, I could do that. You know what it is? This is going to sound so weird. It's a Joanne Fabrics. It is walking in that is Sagittarius. It is walking in and go, I could learn to sew. Oh my God, but scrapbooking, I should finish that project. It's this overwhelming abundance of opportunity and possibility that is just nowhere else. But
yeah, that's that like optimism.
It changes. Like it's not a set routine like Virgo or something. It's like, this is what I was passionate about hiking. And now I'm passionate about quilting. And now I'm passionate. And they keep them. They're almost like collecting this abundance of awesomeness and experience. But it's not like, again, it's not like Scorpio where it's obsessive. It's like this one thing now consumes me. It's, I love this now and it's going to consume me for now. And then this is going to consume me later. Does that like, that's how I feel about its energy.
Yeah. Well, and it's a mutable sign. So, yeah, you're kind of referring to that mutability. Mutable signs they are changeable. They go with the flow. They're not fixed. They're not cardinal. They're just mutable. They just kind of go with whatever flows. So yeah, very changeable.
They are a Joanne Fabrics, baby. That is awesome. I love that for them. So next we have Capricorn, and Capricorn is the opposite of Cancer, my sign, and it's actually my mom's sun sign. And so it, like, people would comment about us when I was growing up, like, you guys are exactly the same. and total opposites all of, and it like weirded people out to be around us because we are carbon copies of each other, and then we're exact, like we're both sides of the coin. So
Right.
like when you say the signs on the opposite, I'm like, oh yeah, I grew up with that weird, like we are exactly the same and exact opposite, and it's very interesting. Capricorns,
Yes.
hard workers. I dare say creepily so. Like I
Mhm.
don't mean that in a negative, but they will trudge along for decades if it means it gets them to that one point in the future that they set their mind. It is a very slow sign, very slow to change.
Yeah. Yeah. Capricorn is ruled by Saturn. And it's like all about, and Saturn is all about work and hard work. And um, it is about responsibility. It is about checklists. It is about getting things done and achieving goals. And because like, okay, like you know those little goats that climb up that mountain, that sheer face mountain on
Yes.
the, like that is Capricorn. They are going to not, they are unstoppable. They just go and go and go. And they just keep heaping things onto the top of themselves and carrying it with them. Yeah. And they care. They care because you know they have the Cancerian stuff. They very much care deeply, and that's how they care for people, by doing all the work.
Yes. So here is my problem with Capricorn. Please, no one come at me for this. I hate that they don't have boundaries, and here's why. I grew up with my saint of a mother. You don't know this. My mother is a wonderful human being. She is so loving and caring. But as she has been trudging forward throughout her entire life, as I have seen her, people, friends, family, strangers will set things on her. And she just keep and setting, and she just keeps, and it's slowing her down, and she's like crawling on the ground, and people are still shit on her. So I detest that part because I've seen what it does to somebody, that the lack of boundaries can wear on you, and nobody cares about a Capricorn's boundaries because they're happy to take the weight from you, because I want to make your life better and make it easier for you to trudge up the mountain, goat boy, you know? And so that is like, I know I'm so passionate about that because it is someone that I care about, but I would say they are so hardworking, but that is my biggest issue, is that when they don't set boundaries, I feel like it's detrimental to their health because they're not going to stop moving forward. Like, they stop in an ER occasionally. Yeah. They'll swing by when they're close to death and go to the hospital. But short of that, like, and I feel like Capricorn is also, not in a negative way, not like the boundaries thing. They are a very should creature. They are a very should energy. I should do this. This is the way it should be done. Everything should go this way. It's a very should energy, which puts a lot of weight on themselves and others.
Right. Yeah. Well, you know, Saturn, it rules boundaries. So Capricorn definitely can set boundaries. That's what they need. Same with Cancers, because it's the polarity thing. And they're very much well, if I don't do it, nobody else is. Nobody else is going to do it. You know. So
and certainly not do it right.
Exactly. Yep. It's not going to get done unless I do it. So I just have to do it. And because, the timing. So time, Cancer and Capricorn rule time. You know, Saturn is like father time. It's Chronos. It's time. And they both have like interestingly enough, it's like Cancer is really slow, and Capricorn almost just has their own timing. You know, it's like, in the time I want it to be done, that's time, you know?
Yep.
But there's always a time element where you see Cancer and Capricorn.
Yes, I fully agree. And like my timing, people will ask me, like in manifesting classes, why don't you ever put a time on anything? because it never works. I have never ever manifested anything in a time frame that I set for myself. It does, for me, it's like this giant like cock blocking of my own happiness. The second I say by the end of the year I will, I guarantee I won't. But if I say this is a goal I have, I can get it done so much quicker if I just say it's a goal I have. So for me, and I don't know if that's like a polarity thing or I'm just weird, but yeah, like timing is a thing that I like. Working with it is so difficult. With my life, I have it fully scheduled, and that makes me feel great to know that like this is an hour segment, this is a 2-hour segment, this is, you know, a 15-minute thing. But for my spiritual stuff, I can't have any. If I put a time constraint on it, the universe is like, oh no, it's silly.
Right. Well, and so oddly enough, that part of you that you know, your Cancerian part likes to chunk things into time, right? And that's that because of the polarity. But yeah, what you're talking about is our manifesting planet is Jupiter, and so your Jupiter has some qualities about it that are not tied up with time. So
Yep.
yeah.
And I believe, my side tangent, my Jupiter is Aries, actually. So I'm like, yep, nope. And with that, like I'm great at doing 85% of the work myself, but that last 15, I'm just like, I want it to be done. Can it be done? I worked really hard for 85%. I gave it my all. I am 100% that person. So yeah, Capricorn, hard workers. And when I feel like when they do set boundaries, they are great. But when they don't set boundaries, that can be their negative. That can be the thing that actually really hurts them, you know.
Definitely.
Jumping into Aquarius, which I read a book once that called them the eccentric weirdos of the astrological sign, and that just endeared them to me so much. Overthinkers, I didn't realize how much they cared about other people's opinions. Like
yes.
I didn't I thought the exact, I don't care, I'm weird, it's awesome. I thought it would be more like that, but they're like, I'm weird, it's awesome. Is it okay with you?
Right. Well, the opposite is Leo. So
Yep.
you're going to bring some Leo stuff into there. But yeah, Aquarius is my moon. And Aquarian is ruled by Uranus. And it's about weird and unique, and they do not follow along. They do not want to be told what to do or when or how. They want to do it all by themselves. And they don't fit in, and they kind of don't want to fit in, although sometimes there's some loneliness. But then if you think about what you'd have to do to fit in, they're like, no, not doing that.
They're not going to change for other people. I feel like they're very idealistic in that way, that it's like, I am who I am and it sucks to be lonely, but the idea of having to like sit through small talk makes me want to stab someone, so we're going to take a hard path.
Yeah, and there's some arrogance to them too. They're like, what is wrong with people? Why are you so stupid?
Yes.
You know, and like, why are you doing it that way? That is so stupid.
They are so smart. And it's almost like, well, wasn't it obvious that you're doing it wrong? It was obvious how to do it right. I don't know why you didn't see it. Is very much, I met someone on the show, and no one wanted to talk to them because he was so weird that he made people uncomfortable, and no one knew what to do with it for the first half of filming. And then eventually people warmed up to him, but there were several people who were like, I don't want to talk to him. What if he's mean to me? And I'm like, he's going to be mean. There are cameras.
Right. Yeah.
It's so interesting how people very quickly judge Aquarius, I feel. And then they have to somehow like intentionally or unintentionally like combat that it's like people have that knee-jerk reaction, you're weird, but that it's like, they're like, oh no, it's okay to talk to you and be with you, you're cool, you're idealistic, that's fun.
Right. Yeah. Well, because the opposite is Leo, and Leo is the sun, the center of the universe. There's a thing about Aquarian energy that it's almost like they're noticed for not following. Like everything's flowing this way. What the hell is that thing over there? Why
Mhm,
aren't you over here? So it's like they're so noticed for being different and outside.
mhm,
The cool thing about Aquarius energy is, so they're very smart, but it's because their perspective. So imagine like they are zoomed out, and they can zoom out above things and see kind of like everything. And so there's nothing outside of their sight.
mhm.
So that's why they don't understand, why isn't this obvious
Yep.
to everyone, you
Their
know?
their perspective is quite honestly intimidating. I watched psychically, I watched with my colleague's consent him think through a problem. And
Mhm.
I cannot explain the sci-fi shit that I saw energetically. So he sat there, and then it's almost like he looked at something, and then he went and got a bird's eye view of it, but he can still see every single piece working together, and he is working through this problem. And I'm like, I
Uh-huh.
concentrated on one circle in the corner and wondered why it was there, like that type of energy. And he was like, no, that's how you solve a problem. That's, you look at
Right.
it, you look at everything, you see
Yep.
how everything works together, and then you go back and then you fix this, and then you go. And it was just like this in and out perspective that was so, and I was like, this is how your brain works, your energy works all the time with everything, is that you have, because it's, there are some people who just have the bird's eye view and they will never get the little details. But then like Aquarius, I feel like they're one of the only ones that can do that zoom out, zoom in thing.
Mhm.
And it's like, God, that's gotta be a superpower. That's gotta be a superpower.
Right, right. Yeah. Well, and they can do a lot of things at one time. So, if you're an Aquarius Mercury, you can be solving 17 problems at the same time.
Mhm.
And holding a conversation while you're solving a problem, while you're thinking about this, while you're like it's just so many. And like if you're an Aquarius Sun, you have like many different identities. If you're an Aquarius Moon, you have many different um feelings and and moods and ways of thinking and ways of solving things.
Yeah,
It's just
emotional states. Like I feel like with
mhm,
Aquarius, like in the emotional, the moon, the Venus, it's very
mhm,
like you have a bunch of different, I don't want to say personalities, but a bunch of different like pieces that again all fit perfectly, but they're all very different facets of, like, an Aquarius angry is not the same as an Aquarius happy, where it's like a Cancer moody is moody. What, like we're happy, we're angry, we're everything. We are still an emotional, nurturing person. But like an
right.
Aquarius is like, oh, you are multifaceted. You're like, yep, and this is this aspect of me. I don't think an Aquarius, and correct me if I'm wrong, would be the same at home
Mhm.
as they would in a Fortune 500 company with their children, as they would be with a business partner. Like those are totally like almost different people.
Yes, we have many different parts of ourselves. And yeah, it's they can tailor their what is needed. It's kind of like it's a practical and what's needed here. Um, the other thing that I was going to say, oh, I'm having a no, it's gone. I'll come back if it comes back.
So yeah, Aquarius is wonderful. Now we're on to the last one, Pisces. So Pisces, I have had many, too many bad experiences with Pisces, and we talked about this during our vibe check, that I have so much water in my chart that it makes it hard for me to deal with other water because it's just too much. But that's why I love earth signs so much, because they're so grounding, and I am not that at all. I have a lot of earth and air, or a lot of
Yeah.
water and air, so I need a lot of earth to help with that. But one of the things that I appreciate or find interesting about Pisces is their mirroring ability. Like they can
Mhm.
mirror something back, and it's unsettling in a good way. Like everyone should have a mirror in their life.
Right, right. Yeah. Yeah, that is one of their qualities. So Pisces is ruled by Neptune, and traditional ruler Jupiter. It's the 12th house. So it's like this foggy mirage. It's a thing you can't pin down. It is imagination. It's sleeping, it's unconscious, it's dreams, it's faith, it's love and compassion and beauty. And notice like all these words are like completely intangible, just concepts. And yeah, it's very psychic, it's very about healing. It's the opposite of Virgo, so it has a healing and wellness piece to it. Um, it yeah,
Yeah, and I think the reason why I've had a problem with Pisces in the past is when, like we've said, there's positive and negative, there's,
mhm,
to every sign. It's that when a Pisces feels entitled, then they become
mhm,
like emotionally manipulative. And that
yeah,
water sign just becomes like, I can make the current go my way type thing. I feel like that's when it's kind of like the Capricorn with, if people put too much crap on them, their
mhm,
their life can go down the shitter. It's almost like that. It's like that's their big uh negative. It's like if they do get entitled, if they do act from ego, can become incredibly toxic really quickly. But like you said, it's so subconscious. I have never
mhm,
met one who like intentionally hurt people or like
right,
it was so subconscious. And so that's, I think, like self-awareness is really important for Pisces.
right. Well, and I have two Pisces kids, and they're very floaty. They're very in their own world. They're very like just they need that Virgo balance to like come into reality because they're just in their own freaking world and in their own they is like fantasy and reality are like interchangeable. It's like they
Yes,
have a hard time. Um,
it's
and all
whimsical.
yes, it's whimsical. Yes,
It's
they can be chameleons.
they remind me of Alice in Wonderland,
Oh yeah,
where it's like, what is going on? Is this real? Well, it's the reality right now, but it's going
yeah.
to change and it's going to have a different meaning and a different symbolism and a different, and it's not bad, but it's almost like they're in their own little world.
Oh
And
yeah,
you're sitting there going, I'd love to visit, but I think I'd go insane if I stayed in Wonderland too long.
yeah, yeah. Well, you know how the non-Pisces people visit is through drugs and alcohol.
Yes.
So Neptune rules that. When you see drugs and alcohol, you look at someone's Neptune, and I tell a Pisces, you don't need drugs and alcohol. You are drugs and alcohol. Like that's their world. It's just
Yes.
that.
Yes. And I feel like they date a lot of empaths because the empaths are feeling that energy and feeding off that energy of the Wonderland without having to like they are a drug. Like get a crazy straw. Like yes.
Yep.
So I think like they are magical. They're probably one of the most magical signs of the zodiac. And like we said, when done correctly, when done beautifully, it's absolutely amazing and whimsical. And like
Mhm.
everything, like I know that when cancers are hurt, we pinchy little bitches, you know,
Yeah.
and
Yep.
stuff. And it's but yeah, so I think that's just really cool to have that one of the things that they need is grounding because they are so whimsical. So like getting in that Virgo energy is so important.
Yes. Yep. And I mean, and that's where so you mentioned manipulation and like, so all the water signs are masters of manipulation.
Mm-hmm.
That would be like their negative, it's like learning how they're doing that and learning that it's very feeling based.
Yep.
Um, all the all the water signs, their opposites are earth signs. And so that's see how they go together. It's like earth signs um need feeling, and the feeling signs need grounding, and same with like fire and The other one, what am I not
Air.
thinking of? Air, yes. Like those go together. So
So what does fire and air need? If grounding and emotion and expression are those, what are the fire and air? What do they feed off of each other?
right. Well, the way they feed though is not about calmness and right. Like how they feed is almost like it makes it bigger. So I mean, you know, when you add air to a fire, it inflames it bigger, and and fire, you know, when you the bigger the fire, the more up into the air it is, and it you know, reaches up. So it's like there's this like combustion kind of energy
Mhm.
with with fire and air. But also, okay, when you take fire signs, all the fire signs are very passionate
Mm,
and very they kind of like come from their perspective,
yeah.
like it's there, it's me, it's mine, this is what I think, and then that passion place. And air, the air signs offer that perspective, like zoom out and see
Yes.
something from a bigger, you know, for more than just yourself.
Yes,
So, how
exactly.
those two, yeah.
I love it. I love it. It's that passion and analytical, type
Hmm.
thing. Reminding the air signs to be in the moment, reminding the fire
Yeah.
signs that you should look before you leap and maybe not jump off the bridge right now to see if you can fly. Like, um, so those are the 12 signs. Thank you so much for joining me for this. I had a lot of fun. This was so cool to see how the different signs can interact with each other and just the fun facts about them. Working with you with this has been great. Can you tell the listeners, like, if they want to know more about you, connect with you, get a session, anything like that, how would they go about supporting you?
Yeah, I have a website and Facebook, both named Therapeutic Soul Journey. And so I could be found there, and yeah.
Perfect. Facebook and website, we love that, and they are spelled. They're spelled normally. How the English
Yes,
language says. Yes, awesome.
Therapeutic Soul Journey. Yep, astrological counseling services. So
I
yeah,
love that. Because yeah, there's several people who are, it's like, oh no, it's spelled with like an X or this, and I'm like, it's so
right.
hard to say.
Yeah.
So therapeutic soul journey, that is awesome. I hope people reach out, and if you guys want to ask questions, put them in the comments. Make sure to like and follow if you want to see more. So thank you so much, Karen, for joining us and experiencing this with us. This has been amazing.
All right. Thank you for having me.